walla we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the walla we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you walla we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, when I skylark. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chatter make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment at the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them.
Imago Dei, image of God, yeah.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to Crosstalk. Welcome to Crosstalk episode number 11. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Episode number 11. It's crazy. It is simply crazy that we are at episode number 11. 1 year. We are celebrating 1 full year. Give yourselves a massive round of applause for being here. For those of you who have been with us for the full year, give yourselves a special round of applause. We just want to welcome everybody on this episode number 11. Crosstalk, episode number 11. Supermom, 1 year anniversary. Boy, I can't believe it. Guys, we have to ask you. Drop in the chat right now. How many Crosstalk episodes have you viewed? Have you streamed? Have you been a part of? Whether they come late, come early, whether they have to come part of it and then leave, it doesn't matter. Put in the chat right now the number, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11. This will be 11th one. Drop it in the chat right now. Also, drop your flag, the flag of the country that you're streaming from now, and drop for me the city that you are streaming from. There's one of our friends who is in flight now from a far country. If you're on a not we're calling name, just put an airplane. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Arrows family, Arrows Internet Radio. Welcome to the Arrows family. Big up yourself. If you are streaming in from Arrows Internet Radio, big up yourself. Enough respect, enough love. My hat's off. My wife and I really have a special love for Pastor Noel Campbell and his wife, Juliet Campbell. We call him Auntie and Uncle Noel. Uncle Noel and Auntie Juliet. That's what we call them, yeah? Because they're just like family to us. And, just want to big them up. They're the owners and operators of Arrows Internet Radio. And we just want to big them up. They have their entire network right now that are streaming in on their platform. So we just want to big up Arrows Internet Radio. If you're just joining, welcome. You're not too late. We just got started. I would just want to big up everybody for coming this evening. We are at episode number 11, looking at supermoms. We're looking at the third supermom, the third and final supermom in our special anniversary series. Guys, we are actually at the end of the season, We're actually at the end of our season, our very first season as a talk show. We have managed to make it to 1 full year. And this is our anniversary, so big up everybody. This evening we have, as I said, the third and final supermom with us. You have met her before. She was with us on episode number 8, right? I hope I get that correct. Episode number 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, episode number 8. She was one of our guests, and she is back with us. And I just want to introduce to us right now, Lady Kashina.
Hi.
What's up?
Nothing much. I'm good. How are you? Blessed to be here.
Awesome, man. I'm excited. Thanks again for coming on for a second time on Crosstalk.
It is an honor, man. I'm really, really happy to be invited. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you. You are one of 3 ladies who have shared, very, very knee-jerking story. That's what I call it. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Episode number 8 was rough.
Yes,
honestly, it was rough. Persons. The WhatsApp messages just kept coming in, and persons begging for episode for part 2, part 3, and a part 4. And so we had to, because of the gravity of each of your stories, we had to just say, hey, let's bring them back on individually so we can
read God for that, man.
Yeah, man, because the story them enough and plenty, man. So Kashina, let me not take it for granted that everybody knows you. Guys, if you don't know Kashina, something wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just want you to just in 60 seconds, for those persons who are seeing it for the first time, those persons who weren't here on episode number 8, just tell our people who you are, in 60 seconds, just a little bit about who you are.
Oh my God, that's not possible. But anyway, bless God for you, man of God. I am a woman of God first and foremost, born by the blood of Jesus Christ, and happy to raise that flag. I am a pastor, co-pastor of Kingdom Builders Worship Center. I'm a registered nurse and a full-time student, believe it or not. I am a mother and a wife and a mentor. I'm a life coach. I'm an author. I'm a businesswoman. Listen, I don't have enough heads to wear hats. So I just
Wow.
fill in wherever I'm needed, whenever I'm needed, and do the best that I can and depend on God for the rest. So in 60 seconds, that's the best I can do.
Yeah, man, well done, well done. You get a ticky, a smiley face, and a star.
There you go.
Yeah, man. You know, it's amazing. It's like a while ago when you were just sharing all of those hats that you wear. What came to mind was Matthew 25, 14 to 30.
Listen,
The parable of the talents,
oh my God.
and you know, this master was
Yeah.
going off on a long journey.
We have to
and
make it work.
Yeah, man. He called
Yes.
his servants and gave
Yes.
each of his servants
Yeah.
money, because talents here in that time, talents
Right.
was currency. It was like gold. It was like money, and he gave them according to their capacity. And to fast forward that story, when he came back
Yes.
with expectations. He said,
Yes.
"Yo, where
Yes.
do
You
the
have to
investment?"
multiply it. You have to
Yeah, man.
invest
And it is
That's it.
clear that the guy who never multiplied it, he was reprimanded.
as
And
worthless.
the other two guys
Yeah.
who multiplied theirs, they were rewarded. So I would
Yeah.
say to you, I see you as like one with the capacity, you know,
Bless
for five
God.
talents. And yeah, man, you're doing it. Out in,
You know, there's something that I learned from Discover Jesus Mission.
yeah.
And it's the saying that goes, the mission goes on regardless. And I want to tell you not to go off script, but I've been sick for the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
I mean sick, what I mean can't even get up to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
And you know, I have to know that the mission goes on regardless. So, you know, I'm grateful for you even mentioning that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, man. It goes on, and it's a blessing when we say yes to the call.
Amen.
You know, because persons are afraid to answer the call, you know, because the call, it's not all that you are doing. I know it's not comfortable. I know it's not easy. I know it's not convenient.
It's
It
not.
requires sacrifice, and that's why you're a super mom. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if there are persons who are just joining, welcome to Crosstalk episode number 11. We are at our last of 3 episodes, special edition, special anniversary edition entitled Super Mom. And this evening we have with us Super Mom Kashina Alexander McLean. And in addition to that, this is our 11th episode. This is the final episode of the season.
Wow.
Can't believe we're gone 1 year already.
Bless
Can't believe it.
God.
Yeah, man, can't believe it.
Hallelujah.
So if you're just joining, welcome also to Arrows
Amen.
Internet Radio, the family over there. The radio station is based in Florida, but they have a wide reach across multiple countries, multiple nations, and thing. And right now we have 46 persons listening on internet, Arrows Internet Radio right now.
Yes,
you know,
God
big
is
up to all of those
awesome.
46 persons. Big up to Uncle Noel and to Juliet who own
Amen.
and operate that. So this
Amen.
evening, Kashina, let us talk a little bit. Let us start the story quick and fast because time flies when we're having fun. Yeah. Talk to us about your childhood. Talk to us about, you know, pretty much what were the good times, what were the memorable times of your childhood
Wow.
that, you know, you sit back and look back and say, yeah, I remember those golden days.
Well, for most of my childhood, the normal part of it, that is, I was living in Spanish Town, in the St. John's Road area, a volatile area, if anybody, you know, who's familiar with that region. But we have a big family, so being there was always fun, always an adventure. You know, riding half broken down bikes and makeshift skateboards and climbing trees and, you know, just typical things when you live in the rural part of Jamaica. It was fun. It was so much fun. Always an adventure, never a dull moment. And, you know, I had a lot of cousins, mostly male, and I was the oldest female child. And so, of course, I would be the tomboy of the crew. And it was always something else happening. I would get a lot of beating, but it was well worth it. A lot of chip up and drop up. I remember even breaking 2 of my teeth off of a bike that I was using to race, and it never had any brakes on there. And I was going down a hill in Green Acres. I don't know if anybody know that area in St.
Yeah.
Catherine. And I was going down a hill, me and the guys, them racing down the hill, bike don't have any brake. And so there was a lot of gravel at the bottom of the hill that I did not anticipate that. And so I went face forward off that bike, chip up my hand. Like, it was crazy. But you know what? When I fell to the ground, I got up, I sat down, and I started laughing. There was blood in my mouth. Everything was a mess, but it was just so much fun and so exciting. And I think even that adventurous personality, I still take it over into my adulthood because, I'm always on the go, always going after something bigger than what I, can physically manage. But those were some of the most memorable times that I had, just playing in, and just running around and just getting into trouble, really. And know that when you go home, you're going to get some proper solid beating, but you're going to do it tomorrow again. And, it's just a part of the game.
Hey.
We were very, very poor. We came from very humble beginnings. And you just have to make it work. You make whatever you have work, and it was just innocent and just fun. And I think that was what made it what it was.
Awesome. When you talk about a bicycle accident, I remember every summer my cousins, we used to go up to our uncle who lives in Red Hills, a nice big house and big yard and everything, So I remember one time we had a race, me and my other cousin, and it was downhill, right? And so those chain bicycles. So I was riding and the brakes was in the hub. So in order to brake up, you have to back pedal to brake up, right? And friend, I tell you, when I ready for break up, man, the chain slip off.
Oh my God.
And I'm going down the hill, and so where the house was, it was like one of the only houses in the area because it was early days in Red Hills, right? So, and they were still building a stone wall at the front. So there were a pile of rocks to the left.
I feel that one.
I had two choices. It's either we go further down the hill
or jump off,
or down into middle of nowhere, or just take the rock there, man. Friend, I took the rocks.
Oh my God.
And I got a stone lodged in my hand, and anyway, like a surgeon.
Wow. Those days were fun.
They were indeed.
Those days were fun.
Let us jump now into where things kind of took a turn for you. We're looking back now. We can value those experiences, but at the time, it certainly wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasant.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, I was living in that area in St. Catherine, and it was very in the 80s. A lot of violence, and I had an aunt who was shot 7 times in her head because she was at the wrong place at the wrong time on St. John's Road.
Wow.
And because of all of that, my dad decided he wasn't going to stay there. He wasn't going to raise us there because my dad is not a violent man, and he prefers peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to be there and having to battle every day with people and all of these foolishness, he decided to just take us and move away from all of that. So we moved to St. Anne. But we didn't have any family, no friends, no nothing, no connections in St. Anne. So we always ended up going back there for holidays, for weekends, whatever the case might be, because my dad's family was in St. John's Road and my mom's family was just a little bit up the street in Red Pan. So we really only had family in that area. So every year, several times a year, we would find ourselves back there, even though we're trying to run away from all of that. And I remember when I was 8 years old, we went over for a summer holiday because we typically would get dropped off for the holidays. The parents would go back to St. Anne. We would stay in St. Catherine. And then at the end of the holiday, they would pick us up. And as I told you, like most of my family were poor. And so we were at my family's house. It was a concrete house, but it wasn't made from blocks, right? It was a 2-bedroom house. One bedroom had 3 beds, and the other one was my grandmother's bedroom. And so, as the older girl, I slept with the grandmother, and the others kind of rough it out in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, I was asleep, and the weight of somebody's body woke me up out of my sleep. I was laying beside my grandmother, who at the time I thought she must have been sleeping, you know. And I tried to turn, I tried to scream, I tried to do whatever I could. I was 8 years old. I was a tiny 8 years old, because you know me, Mark. You know I'm not tall. I'm not, I was a tiny 8 years old,
Right.
and I felt the weight of somebody's body on top of me, and I could not break free from that. And that night, a family member of mine had oral sex with me and penetrated me as an 8-year-old girl. And that was the first time. I can't even describe to you what that felt like, right? My grandmother, who denies it to this day, was laying beside me on the bed, and as I said, sleeping. Right now, I know that could never have been possible,
Mm.
but that was the first time that my life was shattered. My life was completely destroyed. I was physically hurt, emotionally hurt, and every other alley that you can think of. And to make it worse, I stayed there for the entire duration of that holiday. And that was the first of many nights. And that was the first of several family members, because it turned out at the end of the day, it was 3 of them who would take turns to do whatever they felt they wanted to do with my little frail 8-year-old body.
Mm.
And I didn't say anything to anybody initially. Of course, I was scared. I don't even know. But we would go back for Easter and Christmas and every other opportunity that presented itself for us to get a break. And we would go back there, and each time we went back there, it would happen over and over and over and over again, until I honestly felt like I died. And I'm speaking to
Wow.
you now, in retrospect, having
Mm-hmm.
been able to look back at the ordeal. I knew that I literally just died. I was existing, but I disassociated myself from everything and everybody. I eventually spoke up about it when I was a little older, and I was made out to be the liar. To this day, I am the wicked, evil person who is trying to destroy the family, who, oh, I can't believe I'm so wicked and so lion. Even at the time when I spoke up about it, my grandmother told me never to come back to our yard. Family members, one of the same family members who was raping me every single night while I was there, threatened to stab me up if I said anything. I encountered physical abuse. I remember one time I was laying down in my same grandmother's bed, because that is where I would sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those same family members came in and punched me in the face, beat me up in my face. I was still a young girl, beat me in my face because I spoke about it. He had a girlfriend at the time, and the girlfriend was the only person who believed me. And why she believed me was because he had gotten a little girl pregnant who was their next door neighbor. And she was the person who brought the little girl to get an abortion. And so she knew what he was capable of. And so that is the reason she believed me. But she was no match for him. So, I mean, she made a fuss, she quarrel, get up people, them quarrel and then make up nice. And then that was it. That was the end of it. Nothing came of it. It was not reported to the authorities. And it never stopped. It never stopped. For 8 long years, year after year, night after night, it continued. And I found out a few years ago that I was not the only one. Because all along I thought I was. But
Mm.
I was not the only one. I had small, younger female cousins who also experienced the same thing at the hands of the same people. And I tell you, I mean, even in primary school, I was wetting myself. I was getting into fights, even when I was in grade 3. I was always brilliant at school. I was always coming number one in class and getting good grades and all these things, but that was the only thing I had.
Right,
The
right,
only thing I had was being at school. I wasn't at
right.
home. I never had to look at who was at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess maybe that is why I was able to excel, because I was happy at school. I was happiest at school.
That was the escape.
Yes, that was my escape. And I think I remember sharing this with your wife one time too, about her role as a teacher, because it was my grade 4 teacher. Her name is Miss Minna Coombs. I love that woman like a mother. She was the person who would literally take me under her wings
Mm-hmm.
when I would go to school, and she would speak over my life. She was a Christian at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She would speak over my life. I didn't understand any of that
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't raised in church. I didn't know
Right.
anything about Christendom. I was raised in Rastafarianism. And I was, so I didn't understand what she was doing. And I didn't understand the long-term effects of her words being spoken over me and those seeds being planted in my spirit and in my life. But
Mm-hmm.
that woman, I believe to this day, is the woman that saved me. And I was blessed enough to come in contact with her since I moved to the United States. And I was able to tell her thank you, share
Wow.
with her how her life and what she did
Yes.
impacted me before she died. And trust me, we had a good crying session on the phone. It was
Wow.
such a beautiful moment, just me and her, and we still remain in contact to this day. So that was probably one of the only positive things in my childhood from 8 and upward. But it was
Mm-hmm.
horrible. I would get into fights. I would, it was just a mess. And when I was in high school, I started selling weed in high school because when I
Wow.
had money and I needed the money. Um,
Wow.
by this time we would all be smoking weed because it's Rastafari house, and everybody. I mean, we walk on the weed, we sleep on it, it on the bed, it on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
it's all over the place. So
Mm-hmm.
it's easy access. So I was selling weed while I was at Ocherius High School.
Wow.
Um,
And this was what farm? What farm was this?
I was probably grade 9,
Grade
third
9.
form.
Okay.
Yes, I had my whole hustle going on. Long time I was a businesswoman. I had my whole hustle going on. I was selling weed, and then after I sell the weed, I would take the money and reinvest it in rum and weed. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the school. There was a river that run behind the school,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like a cement, I don't know what you call that, like a overarching, I don't know, it's a big pipe, but we could all fit in there. And so
Okay.
that was where the shop was, behind the school under that, yes. And we would sell, and then at the and
Hold
then
on.
at the
No,
end of
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. If the principal of that school is watching,
well,
you need
that
to go around to
principal
the
is
back
no
of the
longer
school
there.
and check out that place where she
Check out
described.
this spot.
Make sure the shop not set up
Oh
around
my
there.
God, I tell you. And at the end of the school day, we would go to James Avenue. And in James Avenue, now that's a street right in the heart of Ocherius, where you have a lot of bars, games room, gambling house, and stuff like that. So that would be where I would end up at the end of the afternoon or evening. Um, and we would gamble and play games and do all of the necessary things. Now, I remember one time I was on the afternoon shift because that school is a shift school. I was on the
Right.
evening shift, school finished at 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the games room in James Avenue. And I honestly didn't realize the time I was there enjoying myself because, whatever it is that I had to do to just get out of my own head, I would do. And I remember it was maybe like about 9:30, 10 o'clock that night when I realized the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get home.
Yeah.
And I jumped on a bus and I went home. And as I was walking into the lane, because we had a long walk to get to the house, I saw a neighbor of mine, and she said, look here, your father looking for you. And he has a piece of hose in his hand. Now my father has never beaten me since I was born. And
Wow.
by this time, I was maybe about 15 years old. And I was told now that he has a piece of hose in his hand. And I said, listen, well, no, it's not the day it's going to start. And I pick up 2 stone. And I decided it's either him or me. And so as I made my way home, my father coming out to find me because obviously everybody worried I'm,
Yeah.
missing. I don't know
Right.
where I am
Right.
and whatever. And I saw him coming a little distance away and I launched this 2 stone after him, man, because I decided not going to beat me a road. I'm a hustler. You understand? By this time, I was giving trouble at school. Listen,
Wow.
every teacher at school knew me by this time. I was still
Wow.
getting good grades because guess what, Mark? If I didn't get good grades, I couldn't go home. So I had to get good grades. So I did whatever I needed to do. But I would skull school. I had boyfriend at this time. So I remember I was going to school in my uniform, checking in, signing register, leaving, going to my boyfriend's house, changing my clothes so them don't get crushed and dirty, leave his house when school is supposed to be finished,
Right.
and go home in my uniform, nice and proper. But
Lord
when
have
I'm at
mercy.
home, I was
Yeah.
a bookworm. I would study like it's nobody's business. So I was getting good grades at school, but everybody at school knew that I was a troublemaker. To the point where I finished high school in 1995. Don't check my age now, people. I'm still young,
we finished high school the same year.
right? But I was not able to graduate from high school. In fact, Ochore's high school graduation in 1995 was cancelled because of gang war, because of gang violence.
Wow.
It was that bad, I'm telling you.
Wow.
And so my high school years and my high school life was mostly like a lot of that going on. And a lot of people who I went to school with, even all age school. I remember one young lady said, imagine we went to school together and I never knew any of this. Because that is a part of my life that I would not share with anyone. I
Right.
was so ashamed. I was so embarrassed
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
anyone to know that my family's members were having sex with me on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So it was never something I would have shared with anyone. And I remember she was my very close friend and neighbor and my partner in crime to some extent. And she said to me a few years ago, this was after I wrote my book, she said, I never knew, imagine we went to school together, we were so close, and I never knew that you were going through all of this. A lot of people, had that to say when they really found out after I was able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like, boy, so it's like an acting out, it's like a rebellion. It's like,
Gosh, I was
like-
very rebellious. I would do
Yeah.
anything. And then my mother was usually the disciplinarian. She would beat you for anything, whether it's real or not. Like
Wow.
sometimes we would joke about it, even though as grown-ups, my sister and my brothers and so we joke about it. But my mom still smoke weed a lot. I mean, one after the other. And I think that when we were young, like that was her way of coping with whatever she was dealing with as
Right.
well. And
Right.
when she never had that weed to smoke, all hell break loose in a man. I'm telling you, every one of us pay for it, So
Wow.
whether we actually did something or not, we would get beating. And so I remember a time when I was a young girl too. And I don't remember if I was like 12 or 13 at that time, probably. And I was on my period. And my mother beat me sick because I had my cycle at the beginning of the month. And then I had my cycle again at the end of the month. Mind you, you're young. And now I understand, especially as a nurse, your cycle is 28 days for one. And then when you're young and just entering into menarche, you can have it can come anytime it wants. It play around until it settles.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, it kind of haphazard in a way. And I don't know if she never knew that. I don't know. But I tell you.
Well, is it that you suspected that you were pregnant or
She
something?
thought I was having sex and all of, and she beat me. She kicked me in my belly. I was literally a football on the floor.
Wow.
Trust me.
Wow.
And so because I knew that whether I did something or not, I was going to get licked. Listen, man.
Yeah, man, you just let loose.
Listen, man. Anything or anything. I
Wow.
never care. And I remember when because I was getting beaten until like I was even up to like 16 years old. I was still getting beaten from my mother. And I remember one time I looked at her and I said, Mommy, might as well you stop. Because if you lock the window, if you lock the door, I'm going through the window. I was so barefoot. I was tired of being tired.
Yeah,
And I said, whatever it is that you want to do, just do it. I'm done.
It's like now I'm understanding what you said earlier on when you said that you died.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like,
I didn't care. I
yeah,
didn't care about anything. I didn't care about anybody. I had no respect for anybody. I did not care. I remember even when after I finished high school, I cut off my hair. I bleached it out. My hair was like maybe the color of your shirt.
wow.
And I was pierced all over my face, my nose, my tongue, my eyes, my belly button, like it was, trust me. And I remember my father asked me if I'm taking coke because he couldn't understand why
Yeah,
I was behaving the way I was behaving.
yeah,
He
yeah.
couldn't understand where this was coming from. I was drinking, I was partying. I remember I used to get up in the mornings and I would have a red label wine, the 350 mils bottle of red label wine every
350.
morning for tea. That's the long time bottle, not the quart bottle that they have now.
No, I don't
The
know that
long
one. I
time
don't think
big
I know that
fat
one then.
one. Oh God, man.
The
Sure.
one with the little handle at the top?
No, not that
Oh,
one.
okay.
The one less than that. And I
Okay.
would mix that red label wine with Guinness.
What?
And I would roll up the first spliff for the morning. And that is how I started my day. And as long as the day is, that is what I would be drinking. I never worked. I was hanging on the corner, sitting on the side of the road, writing tune with the guys them on the road about whatever the weed would tell me to write about.
Yeah.
I was permanently on a high
Oh my
since I
God.
was 15, 16 years old.
15,
Yeah, I was on
16.
a permanent high. I was on a permanent high. Trust me. Way
Mm,
into my 20s. Way into my 20s. I got pregnant when I was 17.
mhm.
And when I found out I was pregnant,
So hold on, don't bust a sweet part yet. Hold on. If you're just joining us, guys, welcome to Crosstalk episode number 11. This is the last of 3 of our anniversary edition Supermom, and we have a Supermom with us this evening. This is the last of the 3 special Supermom editions, and it is the last of the season. This is our very, very last episode for the season. We have gone 1 full year and we have reached the end of the season. And at this point, before Supermom Kashina jumps into what seems to like story come to bump, we are going to just jump quickly for a quick commercial break. All right, 1 second, don't move. Okay, so that is messing with us. So let me jump to the commercial break now.
A lot of people think that marriage is a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. But we're here to tell you it isn't. Marriage has seasons, just like everything else. And we want to help you navigate yours. Arrow's Internet Radio presents The Seasons of Marriage, which will help you learn how to navigate the highs and lows of your marriage with grace. Join us on Sunday, June the 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 6 p.m. Jamaica time on Arrow's Internet Radio as we explore the different stages of marriage and what they mean for your relationship. Whether you're newly married or have been married for years, there's something here for you. We'll not only talk about how to stay strong through the good times, but how to weather the bad. We also invite you to send in your questions via text or WhatsApp to 561-724-4855. That's 561-724-4855, and we will answer them live. Don't miss this exciting and timely presentation. Remember, this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes.
So, guys, make sure you support that. Make sure you support it. We'll drop some information in the chat so you can get connected with that. Welcome to Arrow's Internet Radio family. They're on the live now with us. Big up on yourself right across the world. Arrow's Internet Radio is owned and run by Pastor Noel Campbell and his beautiful wife, Juliet. We call them auntie and uncle. Yeah, Uncle Noel, Auntie Juliet, my wife and I love them dearly. Great guys, really great guys. And they have an internet radio station called Arrows, and they have their entire network on this live with us. And they are having that event. Make sure you check it out and be a part of that. So this evening we we have our guest, Super Mom Kashina, and we have been talking about her life. Very interesting, very interesting. And she's about to tell us now. She got pregnant at age 17, and she was about to jump in that before the break. So go ahead, Super Mom. The queer story comes about now.
Thank you, bro. So, yes, I was saying I got pregnant at the age of 17. And because, of course, I finished high school and there was no money to send me to college, that discussion, never happened, because obviously it just wasn't feasible at the time. And,
Wow.
You just kind of end up where life took you, pretty much, And so I got pregnant at 17 years old. And when I found out I was pregnant, I climbed a tree. There's a source of tree that was at the corner of the property where we live. And I climbed the tree and I jumped. Listen, I jumped out of that tree, but God would have it that I was not hurt and my baby was not hurt.
Hold on, what you were trying to achieve?
I was trying to abort the child.
Oh my God.
I was so confused. I was like, I didn't know what to do with my life at that point. I didn't know what to do with my life at that point. And at this time, my parents didn't know I was pregnant. My parents had separated about a year before that. And I didn't know at that time where my mother was. So we were living with my dad in the same one-room board house where we all grew up. So when my father found out, no, this is in St. Anne now. Remember, we had moved to St. Anne in the 80s.
Cool. Right.
And so, but our entire life is the one-room board house and the one bed with 4 siblings. So when my father found out that I was pregnant, my father told me to leave the house because the one room couldn't fit another person and he wasn't able to feed another mouth. And so I was put out of the house with nowhere to go.
Wow.
So I tried everything that my little 17-year-old brain could tell me to do to try and hurt myself or hurt the child or both. And none of it worked. Long and short of that story, the father of the child took me into a one room where he was living with 2 of his male friends. So that was 4 of us with 2 twin beds in a one-room shack. And that was where I was staying for a little while until he couldn't stay there anymore. I was getting bigger and better at this time, by this time.
Yes.
And so we went into Kingston. We were just kind of pretty much bouncing around wherever we could rest our heads for that night. That was pretty much how it was. He was older than myself. He was in his 20s, didn't have a job. It was just a really hard time.
Yeah.
And so I ended up in Kingston by this time now. And I remember I lived in a what we call a big yard, right? And he was just like staying with somebody who was willing to share a bed.
And let us, just for our international audience, a big yard in Jamaica is really a multi-tenanted property. So it's a large, reasonably large piece of land with multiple small housing structures on it, with multiple families or shacks.
Yes.
Shanty, like a shanty town kind of vibe.
Yes. So we were staying there, and the room that we were staying in was shared between myself and the child's father and another family. So there was a couple and the children plus us in the one room.
In a room?
Yes, not in a house, in a room. So that was the living situation. And that was, of course, it was another temporary situation because we didn't have anywhere to go. I ended up going into labor, went to Jubilee Hospital, had my baby there, and had to walk from Jubilee Hospital to New Kingston
Hold
after
on.
discharge. And
What?
I had to say it like that. If you know the era, you would understand what I'm saying. I had to walk from Jubilee Hospital to New Kingston. We were sharing that little spot I told you about was on Belmont Road in New Kingston. And that was where I was living at the time, or catching, if you want to call it that.
So hold on again. So for international audience, that distance would, in my best estimation, would be about 3 kilometers from the hospital to New
To
Kingston
New
is about
Kingston.
yeah, anywhere between 3, 4, 5 kilometers we're talking about.
It's a good walk.
Yeah, man.
Especially in Jamaica, hot sun.
Oh gosh.
Yes. With a newborn in one on one arm and a bag, because you have to take your bag with your clothing to the hospital.
Right.
So I had a
Right.
bag with clothing and stuff, or baby stuff, and I had the baby in my hand.
Wow.
By this time I was 18 years old. My son was born 5 days before my birthday. And so by this time I was 18, just turned 18, and this was the situation. But when I got to the premises, there was nobody there. There was nobody at home to let me in. And so there was a wooden gate with, you know how they made those gates and they have like a little piece of wood that fall down and latch the gate on the inside. Right. So you can't really open it from the outside. So what I had to do now, mind you, I just had the baby a few days ago, was just discharged from the hospital, walked that length of time, got to the premises. I had to put the bag on the ground, put the baby on top of the bag, climb over the fence. So my tomboy skills came into play.
Yes.
But remember, I just had a baby.
Right.
For the ladies on the line who know what an episiotomy is where you can't pass the baby, the passage is too small and they had to slit you to kind of give more room for the baby to come out. So I was sutured down there, and I had to climb over the wooden fence to go inside to open the gate so that I could get to go in. And so I was there still, I was still accommodated at that premises. I would have to wash, cook, and clean. I was the perfect housewife at that time. And there was one young man there who was a Christian. And he invited me to church. And I went to church with him to, I don't think I want to mention the name of the church.
Yeah, that's fine.
Church, but I'll leave it at that for now. And
Yeah.
I went to the church the first time, and mind you, I was raised in Rastafari. I didn't know anything about church or Christianity or anything, but I was searching. I was empty. I was lost. I was confused. I needed something, but I didn't know what I needed. Anyway, I went to church, and church was nice. I enjoyed the little service and whatever. And so I said to him, I would love to go back. I went back on my second visit to the church. I was baptized. No teaching, no education, no nothing. I didn't understand that I needed to be saved before I got baptized. I didn't understand any of that.
Right.
So I was offered the opportunity to be baptized. It seemed like something that could help, that was a good solution, and I did. Lo and behold, when I got baptized, the pastor was going to tell me now that I had to find somewhere else to live because I could not live with the father of my child, because now I'm baptized and I'm a member of his church.
Wow.
So obviously I didn't have anywhere to live. I didn't have anywhere else to go. That was our only situation. And so the second option on the table was to get married to the man. And so we did. We got married at 18 years old.
Wow.
This situation, which was temporary, came to a halt. So we had to leave. There was, we couldn't stay there any longer. Again, with nowhere to go. So I called my father and I said, Daddy, I beg him. I said, I don't have anywhere to go. We don't have anywhere to sleep at night. I have the baby. Can you allow me to come back? No, with this is coming back to the one-room board house with my three
Yes.
other siblings and my dad.
Yes.
My father said to me, I would allow you to come back, but you can't stay in the house. So, so we got some cardboard, we got some pieces of board, whatever we could find, and we built a shack beside my dad's.
Okay.
And that was where we lived. My husband and myself and my
Yes. Your
newborn
little
baby.
family.
Yes. And so, I mean, rainfall, we get wet, sunshine, we get burned, breeze blow. You can
Wow.
just imagine how
Wow.
that situation was. And so I don't know if he got comfortable. I don't know. Because for most of the time that we were together, he never had a job. And I don't know, I would work in bars, I would work at gas stations, I would pretty much do whatever I had to. Because, I was a mother. It wasn't just myself now. I was still smoking weed, still drinking very hard, you know, still just coping, just trying to get
Wow.
through life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just get
And
through.
I started to become tired again, tired of the situation, tired of the way I was living, you know. And to make matters worse, when I come home at nighttime from whichever job I was at, he would just get up and leave. Most of the times he would be already dressed and ready to go wherever he was going.
What?
And that was another source of frustration for me. Then I found out he was having an affair with the girl next door. And, we would fight. I mean, serious fight, like fist fight, stab up and kind of fight. And
Wow.
I remember one afternoon we were fighting, and we fight from inside the house to outside the house to on the street. I'm talking about real ghetto type fight. So
Mm-hmm.
on the road, I had the baby in the one hand, I had the knife in the other hand, and it was me and him battling it out in the street. And if you know anything about ghetto, everybody and them grandmother come out because they have to see what's going on and who have to say what they have to say and all of that. And I remember that time I injured him really bad, and he ended up going to the hospital. I went to the St. Anne's police station. I got there first because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
desperate now to save myself.
Right,
I
right.
got there first and I told them what was happening and how this was a constant thing and whatever. And there was a female police officer. She said, if you ever come back to me, I'm going to lock you up, because this was like constantly going on.
Wow.
And at this time, I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. And I got a garbage bag and I packed his two little things that he had in the shack where we lived. And I told him he had to go. And he left. I went to work. I was working in a bar at the time. And I went to work. And when I came back from work, my baby was next door waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the roof was gone, half of the shack that we shared. The little two burner gas stove that we had, everything was gone. Everything was gone. He came back with a truck when I went to work. He
Emptied
took
it.
every god thing, even the spoon and the fork he took, and he left the baby next door. So when I realized what had happened, I pull a cigarette and I sit down and lean up my back onto the column, and I just bawl. And that was the first time I cried, because
Wow.
I had to be so tough. I couldn't cry. All these
Yeah, yeah,
years
yeah.
I couldn't cry. I
Yeah.
couldn't afford to cry.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I couldn't afford to cry
Said,
because I
bro.
had to be tough for myself. I had to be
Yes.
tough for my son. I had to just be tough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that day was the first time I cried in a long time.
Wow.
I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no food, no nothing. I was desperate. I was hungry. My child was laying there hungry. And for the next few months or so, I would feed my son black tea, bush tea for breakfast, bush tea for lunch, bush tea for dinner. By this time, I was so messed up in my mind, I couldn't go back to work. I lost the job that I had that was, providing for us, because I was such a mess
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in my mind. I couldn't function anywhere. And so I resorted to just sitting back on the corner. God is so good to me, because I was always very skilled with my hands. So I would braid hair. I would, whatever I could do, any little thing I could do to make a money. I would beg my friends, You know, if I see my friend, he buy me a box food, and that would serve for lunch for me and my son. You know, it was just like that, whatever it is. And honestly, without any apologies, sometimes I had to sleep with a man to get something. I'm not gonna lie. That was what it came down to a lot of times. And so I started becoming very promiscuous because that was easy money. I had a son to feed, and you know, whatever I had to do, I had to do. And I remember now the party scene became the center of my life because that was where I could hustle.
Right.
Go to the party and I would meet somebody and we'd hit it off and would spend the night together and I'd get some money, and you know, that could take me probably for a day or two and I would do it again. And that was my life for a few years, to be honest with you. And then I kind of build back myself to a level, but I was able to buy a little bed, and I was able to buy back a stove, and I was able to cook. And I got another job in a bar again, where I met my daughter's father. And I met this guy, and by this time, you know, I was like, I didn't care. I mean, I really didn't care much. I was just going through life, honestly, trying to just keep my head above the waters. I met this man. He was able to help me financially, and so we entered into a relationship. And he was taking care of my son and myself. And lo and behold, I got pregnant again. And I know this is the story of a lot of young women out there, especially in Jamaica. You know, in an effort to survive, you kind of put up in some situations. And I must say, he was a good provider. He really did help. I got pregnant again, of course. And now I was 21 years old with two children. Separated. I wasn't divorced yet because I wasn't even interested. I didn't care about that stuff. Right. I was so dependent on the man. I wasn't working. I didn't have any career. I didn't have anything. And, you know, he was cheating on me left, right, and center. And I knew about it every single time. But what could I do? What could I have done? That is what I would have said to myself.
That's what you said. Yeah, that's what you said at that time.
You know, what can I do? He's the one who is taking care of me. You know, and so on. And I would just suck it up. I would probably only see him a few times for the year, but I was being provided for. I was being taken care of. And that was what was important. Because my children had to be fed. And I remember he got the neighbor pregnant, and I ended up had to take that child because I was told that, you know, I was asked to take the child because the young lady didn't want the child. And so I took the child. So now I was raising 3 children at 22 years old. And the relationship was what it was. He was still providing. And that was the bottom line. And a few years later, when I thought we were settled and, you know, we would have probably, you know, gotten into something serious and whatever. No, God was in the picture at this time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Even though I got baptized a few years ago, there was no God in the picture at this time. I wasn't thinking about God. In fact, I didn't want anybody to tell me about any God. Because there could not have been any God.
Yeah.
You know, you sitting up there quite pompous, calling yourself God, and I'm down here suffering, and you're allowing all of these things. That was my thought. You're allowing all of these things to happen to me. I don't want anybody to tell me anything about any God. Right? And anyway, so I was in this relationship, and I found out that he got another neighbor pregnant. And
the second neighbor?
Yes, the second neighbor pregnant. I don't know what happened to that child because I didn't stick around to find out. We got into a fight, a physical fight. And I decided, you know, I can't do this anymore. And I decided I was going to leave. By this time, I was living in his house because he had moved me in with the children, and I was, you know, living there, nice, decent place compared to where I was living before.
Yeah.
And so I left that relationship, and I took my 2 children, and I left his child, and I went to my mother's. By this time, I had reconnected with my mom, and I went to my mother's house. And so during that period of time, he stopped providing because we were not in a relationship anymore. And so I was now a single mother with 2 children with no job. And, you know, my mom was there. I was staying with her, but she wasn't working either. So that situation was just a mess.
Yeah.
I decided that I needed a change in my life. I was the one who made that decision. I never gave any thought or consideration to God. I never thought of turning my life over to Jesus. That thought never crossed my mind. I was smoking, drinking, partying, doing my thing. But I decided I needed a change in terms of getting myself a skill, getting out of the area, trying to find some other solution. I didn't know what that was, but I knew I needed something different. And so I left the children with my mom and I moved back to Spanish Town, which is the only place that I knew apart from where I was living. And when I got there, I was staying at my family's house and I met this lady. She came by a shop to buy something and she saw me. I was skimpily attired. I wasn't looking. This is a nice proper Christian lady now. So I'm assuming that she's going to judge me. I'm assuming that she's probably not going to want to talk to me
Right.
because everything was exposed. I didn't wear clothes. Let's just put it like that. Right? And anyway, she came into the facility and she said to me, I didn't know your family had big children like you and blah blah blah. I'm just making small talk and whatever. And I was so annoyed at her because at this time in my life, I didn't trust anybody.
Yeah, I can imagine.
About anybody.
Yeah.
I never respect nobody, right? And she said, blah blah blah, whatever, just small talk. And so, what you plan to do with your life? And I'm like, why do you care? What do you want to know?
Yeah.
Why you want to know that for? And I'm thinking she must want something. She must have a motive because everybody who have been in my life so far,
right,
an ulterior motive, and they only came because of what they could get. And when they got enough of it, they left.
Yeah.
So what this woman wants with me? And I was giving her a hard time. And I knew that she was a heaven sent because the woman was very persistent in a loving, gentle, Christ-like way.
Wow.
I didn't understand that, but now I know. And I tell her that woman decided in her heart, I'm telling you this now, that she was not going to give up on me. I don't know why, but she decided she was going to see me through to the end. And when I realized that she wasn't going anywhere, I decided, all right, let me just hear what she has to say because it's either that or she's going to pest me for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I listened to her and I started to communicate with her and she asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And I told her, I said, since I was in grade 4, I wanted to become a nurse. And she said, why haven't you done it? And I said, well, I think it's too late now. And I just want to tell somebody on the line that it's not too late.
Yes.
It's not too late. Because I stopped dreaming. Because my life was a nightmare. I stopped dreaming.
And you're at what age at this point?
I was in my 20s at this point because I started school and I was 26. So I was between 24, 25, thereabout.
Okay.
And I said to her that, I always wanted to be a nurse. But obviously, that horse has already gone through the gate. I can't do that anymore. This was what I was telling her and so on. And the lady, we ended the conversation and she left. And I forgot about her. And you know what the lady did? She went to her house. She researched all of the nursing schools in Kingston and St. Catherine, as far as Portmore. And she wrote them down on a paper, address and phone number.
What?
And she came back to the spot where she met me.
What?
And she handed me that paper. And she said, these are the schools that I got in touch with. Call them and find out what it is that they need for you to enroll. And I did not, because as I said, I didn't believe, I honestly did not believe that I had what it took. I didn't think I could do it at that stage because I already had 2 children that I should be thinking about. And all of my dreams so far had been shattered. So I just honestly didn't think that there was any point. And so I took that paper away and I forgot about that conversation.
But so right now, we want to big up that lady there.
Yes, Mrs. Listen, Mark, I have a scholarship in her name. If you go on my website, her name is Miss Gauntlet Powell.
All right. So yes. Hear what? Everybody in the chat right now, I want you to drop this in the chat.
Yes.
If just drop big up Miss
Miss
Gauntlet.
Powell. Yes, big up
No,
Mrs.
man.
Powell. Yes.
Drop it in the chat right now,
Listen,
guys.
oh my
Big up
God.
Miss Gauntlet Powell.
Yes.
Well, you can spell the gauntlet for them.
Gauntlet.
All right.
Gauntlet.
I'm
Powell with two
Powell.
L's. Yes.
Drop it in the chat right now. Big up Miss Gauntlet Powell. Look here. You know what touched me about her? When you said she never judged you at all.
She did not.
You said everything was just
She
hanging
did
right
not.
out there.
Yes.
And she never even mentioned
didn't
it.
see
She never
it.
comment.
She
never
did
saw
not
it.
see it.
Wow.
Honestly, she looked beyond all of that. And you know what? She saw
Wow.
a girl who was broken and
Yes.
confused.
Yes.
She was a super mom.
Yes. Wow.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Wow.
Glory to God. She was a super mom because she never saw what I was. She saw what I was to become.
Oh my God.
And she ministered to that girl.
Oh my God.
She ministered to me and she never quoted a scripture, but she ministered to me.
That sounds like how Jesus did it.
Oh my God, man.
That's exactly how Jesus did it. I don't know where we got it twisted.
Listen, she ministered to me without even using a word from the scripture.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't have understood it anyway if she did.
Yeah. So talk to us now. How? Tell me. You say you made the change. Let us fast forward because I mean time. We're running out of time. Yes. I want to fast forward now to the tide turn. You decided to make that change, and now you are a new person.
To Christendom.
Yeah.
So I was going to school was I going to school? I don't even remember. No, I wasn't. But I was on my way to a dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wearing full white. It was an all-white party. My liquor in my hand, my weed in my hand. And I was on my way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was early because, you know, if you're hot, if you know about dance, you don't go dance early. Right? You don't go dance early. You go dance late when party nice. Yeah. And everybody have to see you when you walk in and all these things.
Right. So it goes. Okay.
So I was on my way, but it was too early.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a red and white tent in the Spanish Town bus park that was having a crusade that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped by the tent out of curiosity. I'm saying no, out of curiosity, even though I know by now that it was divine design that I went by that tent. But I stopped by the tent. I still was smoking my weed and whatever, and I leaned against the pole that was holding up the tent. And I was watching these people getting in spirit and speaking in tongues and going on. And I found it very funny.
Right.
But as I stood there, the preacher turned his eyes over to me and he said, "You girl in the white shorts, God gave me a message to give you." And I look at him and I say, "You are a liar. Which God you're talking about?"
Wow.
And he said it to me again. He said, "God gave me a message to give you. And God said to tell you that he loves you."
Wow.
And I said, "I don't know the God that you're talking about." And he said it 3 times. He said, "God said to tell you that he loves you." And the 3rd time when he said that, I don't know what took place between that last word coming out of his mouth and the moment I found myself at the altar, bowing before God and crying and begging him to save me.
Oh,
I don't know what happened to the weed. I don't know what happened to the liquor. I don't know anything. And if you know Spanish Town bus park, it wasn't carpeted.
Right.
And I was wearing full white.
Right.
And at the end of that night, I didn't bother go to the party, obviously. I went home. And now, when I went home, all my dogs was under the light, wondering what happened to me. I didn't say anything to anybody. I went straight into the little quarters where I was staying. And it took me a few days before I was able, because I was ashamed of this new me. I was ashamed to tell my dog them, say, me a Christian now.
Yeah.
Because I was the only girl in the crew.
Yeah.
And my brother, who was a part of the crew, him always laugh. Him say, when you watch Kashina roll her weed, she not have to use scissors to cut it up. You understand? And I told him first I say I'm going to church. Him laugh me to scorn. The man say, yo, dog, what you say? Because this is how we would address each other.
Yeah.
Right? Him look at me and say, yo, dog, what you say? I said, I'm going to church. And him laugh. Him say, all right, me get 2 weeks. He laughed me to scorn.
How long has it been now? He gave it 2 weeks. How long has it been now?
It's been about, oh my God, over 20 years now. Praise God.
Wow.
19 years to be exact.
Awesome.
19 years. But there's something important that I want to say here.
Yeah, got
Mark,
you.
because even though it's been 19 years, it has not been 19 easy years. And the church did not make it easy for me in the first few years of my church relationship.
Wow.
The church did not make it easy. I was going to church and I was struggling because a lot of we don't have time to talk about everything that took place.
Yeah.
But I was an active lesbian before I came to know Jesus Christ. Because all of the things that I went through, from the sexual abuse to the physical abuse to the domestic violence to all of the things that I endured at the hands of men, I had turned my mind against men, and I started chasing after women, and I became the aggressor. And I remember I would go to parties, and if I meet a girl and she go on like she too cute and she don't want to give it up, I'm gonna beat her up.
Whoa.
It was that bad. And so when I came to know Jesus now, I was going to church. I never gone through deliverance. I mean, I was learning to walk out my faith walk.
Yeah.
But I still had the sediments of sin in my flesh.
Right.
I still had the urges. I still had the desires that were not of God. And there was nobody that I could have spoken to about it.
Yeah.
You hear me? And I was a young girl in church. I came under criticism. I came under ridicule. When I met my husband, and you know my husband quite well.
Yeah, man.
When I met my husband and we were about to get married, my husband knows everything. We were in a certain church and we discussed my struggles with a leader in that church, a leader and his wife, because I needed help at this time. I said, I cannot get married with this thing. Because I would be walking, driving on the street, and I see a girl and she look nice, and I'm looking at her as a man would.
Wow.
And I had the same desires as a man should. And now I'm getting married to this man, and I decided I wanted to get married to this man. And I still had these issues. So I was reaching out to the church to help me. And we went for, I don't remember if it was rehearsal we went to at the church. And a little girl, about 10 or 11 years old, turned to my fiance at the time and said to him, "Are you the one going to marry the lesbian?"
Wow, so she has been hearing stuff.
Everything about what we discussed with the leader in the church was being discussed in as far as the youth meeting.
Wow. Hey, Super Mom Kashina, let me tell you something, man. Boy,
There's so
much I could say after that, but
yes.
So you mentioned we know that you have a miracle baby. We can't close this episode without you talking about a miracle baby. Fast forward, so you got married, and you have been married now. How long have you been married?
We have been married. Next July is gonna be 13 years of marriage.
Years. Wow.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
13 years. God. And you have a miracle baby in as short as possible time. Tell us that story of your miracle baby. And guys, if you're just joining us, welcome to Crosstalk, episode number 11. It's the last episode of the season. We're celebrating 1 full year. And we have our third super mom with us telling her life story. Super Mom Kashina. She is about to tell us about her miracle baby. Guys, just drop it in the chat now and just say, tell me. Drop it in the chat right now. So tell me. Miracle baby, tell me. Go through Kashina because the people need to hear this.
So by this time now, me and my husband were working in the vineyard for God. We're going on missions, with ministering to people and leading people to Jesus Christ. And he did not have a child, and we were trying to conceive, and I had several miscarriages, 5 to be exact, one of which happened while we were in the mission field. And God would have had it so that I was ministered to even in the midst of all of that. And Pastor Lass and his wife were
Nice.
very instrumental in
Yes.
our lives in that season, and even now.
Yeah, we just have to
But,
pass a big up Pastor Lass.
big
Hey,
up Pastor Lass and big up
hey,
Auntie
let me tell
Marine.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
man. Big up, big up.
yes, yes. And so we finally got pregnant again. And the last miscarriage prior to me being pregnant with her was on Father's Day. My husband didn't know I was pregnant, and I planned to surprise him. And the surprise was me miscarrying. So can you imagine how traumatic that was for him?
God.
But we held on to the unchanging hands of God.
Yes.
And the Lord sent a word that I would get pregnant again a year from that date. And we held on to that. And lo and behold, I got pregnant a year from that date.
Awesome.
And we the first time I found out that I was pregnant, now we say, all right, we lay hands on the belly and we pray and we consecrate it and we commit it to Jesus Christ and we say, listen, this one going to come. This one we are gonna take bring to term. And I was working at UA at the time, and I remember I was at work and I started having signs of a miscarriage. This was around maybe 28 weeks or so. I started having signs of a miscarriage. I actually went to the bathroom and I was bleeding. And I went to my supervisor at the time and I asked her if she could take me to the hospital, and she was willing because I wasn't being seen by the university medical staff. I was seen by an outside doctor. So I asked her if she could take me there, and she said yes, she would take me down. And she went to her supervisor, who told her no, she can't leave yet because she had to bring the report in. And I had to sit at UWI, wait for my husband to come from up Red Hills to take me to the hospital where I was booked. And when I went there, I got the news that I had miscarried. Even though I was bleeding so heavily and the doctor was convinced that I was miscarrying, that I had miscarried actually, to satisfy me, he said, all right, we're going to do the ultrasound, we're going to do the blood test, we're going to do all that just to make it comfortable, And so we did. And when I got the report in my hand, I opened it because me want to see with my two eyes.
Yeah.
The report confirmed that I had miscarried. There was nothing in the sac except some fluid, and that I should go back to the doctor now. I received a prescription for antibiotics. This was Wednesday, and the doctor said he set up a time on Friday for me to do the procedure. And we were on our way home. I was bawling because I was tired. My body was physically tired.
Yes.
Mentally, we were, burnt out. And my husband was there. And I tell you, my husband is a man of faith. Oh my God, I respect his faith in God. I tell you. And anyway, we were driving home. And he said to me, now, mind you, I'm a registered nurse, people. And this man is going to tell me that the Holy Spirit tell him that I should not go back to the doctor to have the procedure done, but I should wait for 2 weeks because God is going to fix this.
Yes.
And I was so mad at him. Because I said, I know you wanted the child, but you don't have to be so selfish. Because as a registered nurse, having studied, I know that if I stay for 2 weeks with a dead fetus inside of me, I'm gonna become septic and I'd put my life at risk.
Yes.
And I felt my husband was being so selfish.
Wow.
And I was so mad. But before I could finish attacking my husband, the Holy Spirit spoke to me. And I had to shut up. And I had to put all of my medical and nursing training aside. And I said, okay, God. I said, okay, God. And I called Pastor Lass and Auntie Marine. And I said, this is what we heard.
Yes.
And we need help.
Yes.
And the man and woman of God came. They never hesitated. And for 2 weeks straight, they prayed, anointed my belly with oil, and we prayed and we fasted and we believed God.
Yes.
And I remember when my faith started to waver, Auntie Marine said, whose report will you believe?
Yes.
Never forget. And 2 weeks later, she said, go back to the doctor. Of course, I'm not going to go back because I'm a nurse.
Right.
I should know better.
Right.
So I went back to work. I was at UWI and I asked a doctor at UWI, a colleague of mine, to write a request for me to go back and do the ultrasound to prove if what God said was really going to happen.
So before you move a muscle, people, drop it in the channel, just say faith.
Yes.
Faith. Drop it in the chat now. Faith. Right now, in the chat. Put some fire beside it too. Go through.
Hallelujah. Glory to God. I went back to the same place to do the ultrasound. Same doctor, same machine, same everything. And the baby heartbeat was heard on the monitor. And I was so shocked. But I don't know. My faith wasn't, it was there in a Mark. But I tell you, I looked at my husband and I was so excited. And he was just there sitting down, chill, like nothing.
Because he
was not surprised. He was not surprised.
Yep.
He wasn't surprised. And I got the report. The doctor was shocked. She didn't know what to say. I brought it to my doctor and he looked at me and he said, well, I'm not sure what to tell you, but sometimes these things can happen. What kind of sometimes? He was at a loss for words.
I
was at a loss for words.
Yeah, man.
Listen, I brought her to full term. No further complications after that. She is now 7 years old. She has never been sick. I remember in 2020, everybody in the house have COVID. She never got sick. See her there? She's a little firebrand.
That's her.
She's a little firebrand.
Miracle baby.
This morning, she was ministering at church.
Wow.
Trust me. And I tell you, I tell you, man, this was just God.
Supermom, Kashina, thank you so much. It has been an amazing story, an amazing journey. And you know, guys, if you're just joining us, you're late, but don't feel away. You can watch the rebroadcast. We just want to thank everybody from Arrows Internet Radio for being a part of this evening's episode of Crosstalk, episode number 11, the final episode of the season, right? And we spent some time talking with Supermom Kashina about her story. We just want to let you guys know that next week we're going to have a special episode to officially close off the season. Special episode. You know, Kashina, thank you so much for this story. I hope that somebody was inspired, somebody was encouraged. You know, if you know somebody who is going through what Supermom Kashina has already gone through, you know, you can tell them, say, look here, man, go watch the video. You can send them the link. Let them watch the video and hear about it, because it's 3 supermoms we listened to over the past 3 episodes.
Wow.
Right? 3 supermoms with I mean, their stories have been knee jerking. You know what I mean? All right. So we have a question here. All right. So the question is, and you have an opportunity to win a prize. And the prize here is Kashina's book. We never got to talk about the book, but
we can talk about it another time.
We definitely can. Just in the meantime, tell them where they can get that book to buy.
Well, it's on Amazon right now. If you're in the United States, I can ship it to you, or you can purchase it on Amazon. If you're in Jamaica, you can contact me on Facebook and we can arrange something.
Awesome. And tell them your handle on Facebook.
Well, it's my name. If you look at my name just as it is on the screen, if you search for me on Facebook by that name, you'll find me. Instagram, it's the same name.
Awesome. It have the hyphen in it, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. So we want to give away she wants to give away one of her books to one of our amazing members of the audience now. And the question to win this, the first person to submit the correct answer will win themselves a book. The question is, who was the first person who had an impact on Kashina? Who was the first person? Hold on. Positive. Sorry. So, producer, reprimand me. Who was the first person who have had a positive impact on Kashina? That's the question. Who was the first person who had a positive impact on Kashina? Once you drop the first person to drop the correct answer in the chat will win a book from Kashina. Let me show the book again. That's the book there. This is the book, Kashina's book. And so we will have an announcement. Let's see who that is. That's Nikki. Nikki, where's Nikki from? YouTube. All right, we have a winner on YouTube. Woo! And the winner
All
is
right.
hold on, the winner is don't move on muscle. I forget the drum roll and I have to get the drum roll. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Drum roll. Congratulations to Nikki KS on YouTube, who is streaming live from England.
All right.
Congratulations, Nikki. We'll get the book to you in some way. Okay. With a cup of coffee and a bit of cake. Yeah. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we're finished now. We're done. Gone, we're going now. So we just really want to thank you guys for taking time out. On behalf of my wife and I, Nikki, who produces the show, we really want to tell you thanks for taking time out for being a part of this. The reason why we do Crosstalk is not because we can, it's not because we have internet and a laptop, it's not because we know a bunch of people who can impact lives. I would just say, yo, I could do that thing. No, It's because at the heart of Nicole and I, we really want to add value to people's lives, and that's why we do this.
Amen.
We want to take our mess and turn it into a message, and help people. Because I have had my story. We started out Crosstalk last year talking about pornography. I shared my story, how I struggled with pornography for 28 long years, and overcame that. We spoke about Black beauty, loving yourself. As Black women, to just really value yourselves. We looked at, in September, we looked at online school and how difficult that was, and the challenges and the pros and the cons. In January, we looked at overdue. What are those things that God has called you to do?
Wow.
We are waste time with your procrastinating and your excuse. In February, we looked at a bare love. What real love looks like in the context of marriage, because we want to pour into marriages. And then we looked at strength of a woman. That episode number 8, we had Supermom Kashina, we had Supermom Stacey and Resurrected Garvey, we had Supermom Joy Kelly, and we also had Raquel Russell, who co-hosted that episode. And it was just so fabulous that we had to bring each of the Supermoms back on their own episode to tell their own story. Because you guys just said, hey, we needed to have had part 2, part 3, part 4, and we did it. So thank you guys for supporting Crosstalk for one whole year. Enough love, enough respect.
Hallelujah.
Big up to Uncle Noel and his wife again, and to Juliet, and the Arrows Internet Radio family for joining us on Crosstalk. We are going to start a new season. So stay tuned. Next week, same place, same time, we're going to be here to officially close out the season. 1 year, we're going to close out our inaugural season. Don't miss it. Make sure you share the link. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you're not kick off the bell yet, kick off the bell so that you get notified. We love you, and we will keep you posted. Same place, same time next week. And we're going to shut this down now. No flow. Thank you so much, Supermom Kashina. Really
Thank you.
All right, guys.
I love you. God bless.
Blessings.
All right.
Crosstalk make the walla we attack. No joke when I sky laugh. Crosstalk watch you walla we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the walla we attack. No joke we been a walk. Crosstalk watch you walla we attack. Me a the host me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chat and make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment that the whole world I see. Go tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke when I sky laugh. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host me name Marq. Alright, Crosstalk make the whole we attack. No joke when I sky laugh. Crosstalk watch you whole we attack. Me a the host and I me name Marq. Crosstalk make the whole of we attack. No joke, we been a walkie walk. Crosstalk, watch you while we attack. Me a the host, me name Marq. Drop sitting at the chat and make me see. Alright, Like, share, subscribe, tweet it. Send in a comment that the whole world I see. But tell your family, your friend them. Everybody you fi go tell them. Message a link where you fi send them. All your phone you fi lend them. Watch out now, Crosstalk make the whole of we